Unfortunately, it would take 4 more years and the death of a wealthy British woman named Claire Williamson before the law finally caught up with Hazard. Williamson's weight at the time of her death? 50 pounds, as a grown woman. Claire's sister, Dora, was still in Hazard's care at the time of her death. She had also dropped to close to 50 pounds, a weight so low that sitting was painful for her. After her sister's death, Dora managed to smuggle out a telegram plea for help to her family. The younger Williamson was rescued from the sanatorium, and Hazard was brought up on charges of manslaughter. At the subsequent trial, it became clear that Hazard had forged Claire Williamson's will, while also helping herself to approximately $6,000 in jewelry from both sisters. It wasn't an isolated incident. At least 14 other patients died under Hazard's care, but not before she had either convinced them, in their weakened mental and physical states, to sign over their earthly possessions to her, or simply forged their wills herself. Hazard was convicted, sentenced to 2 to 20 years in prison, and released on parole a paltry 2 years later. To add insult to injury, she managed to obtain a pardon from the governor of Washington. Although she was banned from practicing medicine again, she did open a School of Health in Olalla, where she continued to espouse the fasting gospel until 1938, when she died of starvation while attempting a fasting cure herself. At least she practiced what she preached. The Miracle of Malnourishment. Fasting across the ages. Hazard had taken to a dangerous extreme a medical practice that, with some legitimacy, stretches back centuries. In ancient Greece, Pythagoras argued that periodic fasting was good for the body. In the Renaissance era, Paracelsus referred to fasting as the physician within. And the well-worn maxim of feed a cold, starve a fever has been traced to a 1574 dictionary by English lexicographer John Whittles, who wrote, "Fasting is a great remedy of fever." In moderation, Paracelsus was right. Fasting can be good for the body. Religious leaders throughout history also recognized that it can be good for the soul. Fasting as a spiritual practice sprang up independently across the globe as a means of preparation for religious rituals, or to invite ecstatic visions and dreams. Looking for a divine revelation? Fasting was seen across cultures as a pretty good way to get you there. The Curious Case of the Brooklyn Enigma. Molly Fancher, aka the Brooklyn Enigma, was diagnosed with dyspepsia in 1864 when she was 16 years old and just a few months shy of graduation from the Brooklyn Heights Seminary. Fancher's dyspepsia symptoms, in addition to frequent fainting spells and a weakness of the chest, forced her to drop out of school. Things only got worse from there. Later that year, Molly was thrown from a horse, was knocked unconscious, and broke several ribs. A little more than a year later, her dress caught on the hook of a carriage, dragging her for a whole city block, and once again knocking her unconscious and breaking several ribs. Molly never really recovered. She was put to bed to heal. Her engagement fell apart, and she began manifesting a bizarre series of symptoms, eventually losing the majority of her senses, including sight, touch, taste, and smell. Either because of her illness or in an attempt to recover, Molly also stopped eating. She reportedly went a full 16 years without consuming any food. Observers claimed that her stomach collapsed so that by placing the hand in the cavity, her spinal column could be felt. While lying in a supine position with her arm drawn over her head, her legs twisted beneath her, and her eyes closed, Molly also claimed to be able to read minds, read writing from a great distance, and offer prophecies. In a country bewitched by the spiritualist movement, she was an overnight sensation. Between 1866 and 1875, stories repeatedly surfaced in the press about the wondrous spiritual abilities of the Brooklyn Enigma.